Okay, so in the last video we discussed how to actually design things using sketches. If you're good at art and you're good at that type of graphics rather than computer graphics and good at drawing, that's the way to express it. You can see on the sheet here, if you remember, we actually did all these on different sheets that we then scanned in, and you can actually see that I've actually put these onto 4 sheets where they've actually gone in, and just applied a bit of marker pen on them, a bit on the outside, just to add a bit of colour. I've only used really 2 or 3 colours on here as well, to do with greys, warm greys, etc. And then from there, the next stage we looked at was that we were literally developed it on 2D design. All of our logos were developed on 2D design and redrawn accurately in 2D design. One, so you can tell the examiner and it meets the spec that we've used CAD and some sort of design, but because we're going to use this to develop a packaging, I don't want to say too much about it now because I want to do that separately so you can see that in its own sort of unit or own sort of video clip, so it makes a bit more sense. But we are going to use this to cut out and use that as an image on some sort of packaging. Okay, so the next stage then is to do your developments into CAD. Now, the third design, rather than repetition, try and keep it a bit simple, because at this point you would have spent, I would have thought, 3 to 4 hours doing your design sheets, and that's really the stage where I'm at now, 3 to 4 hours. The 2D design doesn't take long at all, and in fact these design sheets literally are a case of just altering it slightly. So a design sheet like this, probably about 10-15 minutes. Okay, the next design sheet literally is to do the third one. Now I've kept this very simple. If I'm looking at a grade, see or above, I need to have loads and loads and loads of designs into that section to get the most out of those 32 marks. This one really isn't the best idea, and it's probably a D or a C grade if it was in the folder by itself. With the other 2 pages, obviously it's going to be top marks, but by itself, if your design sheet looks like this, you can expect to get a very, very limited sort of mark. There is development, but it's very basic. Okay, now you can see there's no hand sketching on here at all. This has all been done using the computer, using 2D design. And I've done that purposely to show the difference between the two. So the first design is a mixture of the two. The second tended to favour more of the graphic technique of drawing. And the third one, there are no sketches in here at all, it's just completely done using CAD. Okay, well the third idea I came up with was PlayPal. This is something, a name that was suggested that I chose from the list earlier on in my design sort of folder. And what I've tried to do is I've took some of the ideas of things like PlayPal. I've investigated what's already down there, researched them, so you can see at the top we've got 3 that's actually got PlayPal in there. And then I've looked at things that are very similar, like the PS4, the PlayStation symbol, and Play.com, and PayPal. Things that sound the same, and I've tried to develop in there. So there's still a bit of development in here, and I've got to make sure that's in there because it is quite weak graphically. Okay, what I've done on here is I've designed number 1 down there, and number 1 just shows that I've come up with an idea based on this sort of idea at the top and also this bit at the bottom where it's got the PS4. You'll also see on the next bit I've just done flat sort of writing where I've put PlayPal, and I've just made simple changes of development. So on this one I've got a small case Y, which doesn't really go with uppercase letters, but that could be a different way of doing it. And then I've changed it to an uppercase, and I've tried to put a slant on each one. And the reason I've done that is because of the triangle. And the symbol for play that's recognised throughout the world is obviously the triangle, and that's what I've tried to include in here. So instead of just drawing a normal square, I've just added the triangle in. Again, it didn't work that well. I've used triangle in the play. Obviously this starts to look a bit like fast forward, if you get 2 triangles together, but PlayPal, 2 P's, and I've tried to make it look like there. I've then took the idea of the Dunlop users and I've put it together in an image down there. So I've got my isometric drawing in, so I can show that I've done isometric, and then I've got my 2D PP thing down here to use as an image, which is quite effective. Okay, so what have I done next then? Well, I've looked at this idea of the PlayStation. Again, you can see I've put things on here as well. Whenever I take images from the internet, I always put a hyperlink in so I know where I've got them from. That way, if I do have to go back and record where I've got them from, or I need to go back to that site, or I need that image for anything else, I don't spend hours looking back and doing research that I've already done. It's just a good habit to get into. Okay, so what I've done here is I've put this one in isometric, and I've done a P and a P. One line flat like the S's, and one like the P at the top. It's not that good, you can't see that this is a P at the bottom here. So the next development we've done in the PS. Just instantly how you do this, the quick way of doing this is, rather than, when you go and find an image on the internet, rather than just clicking on it and go to save as and then save it as a picture, I just copy it directly. So you just, instead of going to save as, just click on to copy and then paste it in, and then it'll always paste the link directly into your folder as well. So it's not something I have to do separate, it's just a way forward of doing it. Okay, so I've got the P there. You can see it's a bit more like a P on this bit as well. And then the third development is to actually place it in the centre, because I didn't think you could still say that's a P. And then this looks a bit more like a joystick, so I thought there could be some development there. I could put a switch down here or put a trigger in on this side and get the PP there. There's loads of developments I could do with this, but as I've already done two or three other sheets of designs, I'm not going to develop this any further. And that's another key point. You've got to know when to stop. You've got to know when to stop with your designs. And what I've done with here is just use the Xbox symbol, and I've just done two circles with the arcs cut out, like an Xbox, and turn them into P. It does look a bit like two golf clubs, but it means that instead of having the PS over here, I've now got the Xbox over there as well, so I've catered for the two. In the end, I went for something very simple. With development, I've looked at the Back to the Future logo and the colours down there, and all I've done is put these in italics, one going one way, one going the other, and had PlayPal with the arrow pointing forward, just making it look a bit more dynamic, speed, futuristic, rather than something flat over on this side. And I've actually put a summary at the bottom here as well, just to base it in. So although I've discussed the ideas, I've just summarised the ideas as well. Now this is the next quite important bit. Now I know roughly in my head which one I would like to carry forward into my shop or into my logo, and I've got to make sure that works. So to develop this further, because I've not done any sketches and I've already done this interior design, this is why it's such a low grade by presenting your work this way without the sketches, because you've got very little development. You haven't got the development from sketches to CAD, it's just from CAD to CAD, and it's not that good at all. So on the third sheet, the only way I can develop this is by doing the following. And so what I've done here is I've just changed the logo font down here, and then I've just changed the lettering so it looked like the Back to the Future. You can see itself, if all the development is of that design is that you've changed the font and you've changed the typeface of it, you cannot seriously expect to get a high grade from this area. It's alright including this in for one design as a weaker design, but you've got to show that variety of skills. So the best way of doing it will be the first way, or perhaps the second way with a bit of development, but the worst way of doing it is by doing everything on the computer. Graphics isn't just about using computers, it's about having some sort of drawing skill. Even if they're rough, still show your developments. Now, it's quite easy for me to actually go back and do some sketches for PlayPal and then insert a slide in and sort of reverse engineer it just to get the marks up. And if it was me and you produced work like this, that would be what I'd be expecting you to do. Okay, so the next thing is to actually find out which one of these we're going to take forward, and to do that we need to look at creating a public survey, and that is the next video.